Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alamin. Wassalatu wassalamu ala ashrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi wa sahbihi ajma'in. Ya ayyuhallazina amanu taqullaha wa qulu qawlan sadida yuslih lakum a'malakum wa yaghfir lakum dhunubakum wa may yuti'illaha wa rasulahu faqad faza fawzan 'azima. Alhamdulillah, we are today, this morning, I've been requested to give a presentation on leadership, and my presentation entitled Leadership Challenge and Need for Renewal. And I hope what I presented will be beneficial to myself and to those who are listening to my presentation. As we know, the importance of leadership in anything that we do, leadership is a very important element in any organization, in any group, or any family, or in any endeavor, any project that we do. Leadership is important. In Islam, we know that we are all Khalifatul Ard, Khalifah of Allah on this earth. And all of us are leaders, leaders of family, leaders where we work, mothers, and so on. And we know that in Islam, it's said that the religion of the people is the religion of its leader. So, therefore, making it even more important that whoever is the leader is someone who is adhere to Islamic principles and guidance, and someone who is of Islamic character. And it is also very important that we should instill leadership from young. When we were young, we are already brought up in a way to prepare us to lead. Okay? And we know that how we bring up our sons and daughters to prepare them for the lead role that they have to play in their future adult life. And of course in Islam it is the same thing. As Muslims, we are also brought up in a way to prepare for our lead role when we have achieved youth and adulthood, so that we can carry the message of Islam and to live Islam in our life, and of course to prepare for da'wah. From the historical perspective, we know that leadership is not something about how rich you are, how famous you are, or you are an icon, symbol. It's not something to do with that. Okay, leadership is much more than being rich or being famous. It is about your character, your charisma. And it's not about charisma and not about how attractive you are, or how handsome or how pretty you are. But leadership is really about values and morals, more important than skills or beautiful, eloquent speeches. And we have seen over history, there are people with, even from slave background, becoming leaders in their community and leading changes in the community and in the lives of the people. And that can be found in many written works. And when we talk about the leadership challenge, I'm very attracted to the study, comparative study, done by Kozes and Posner. Now, they conducted continuous research over a period of 25 years. Now 25 years is like a lifetime study. And they got responses from more than 1.5 million individuals all across the world, in all the 6 continents that you find in the world. And their central question or message that they want is, what kind of character that you would like to see in someone who is going to be a leader and that you are willing to follow without coercion, means without force, means you're voluntarily willing to follow that person. And interestingly enough, of course there were many responses, but finally they found that the most important element in a leader is credibility. Whether you have credibility or not. And that determines whether your leadership is accepted, voluntarily followed by people around you. And later, upon further analysis, they have concluded that this credibility can be interpreted in two important elements, that is truthfulness and trustworthiness. As-Sadiq, Al-Amanah. Now, this is very interesting because in Islam, this As-Sadiq wal-Amanah relates to something that is very important to all Muslims. And you know, from childhood, we have been taught to be truthful and to be trustworthy. And we know that all the prophets of Islam have these two characteristics. All the messengers of Allah have these two important characteristics. They are the primary characteristics on anyone who wants to lead without force. You can be rich, you can be leader, your money motivates people, okay? But if you want people to follow without any force, without any, how shall I say, voluntary sincerity, then you need these two characters. Yani truthfulness and trustworthiness. And when anybody have these two characteristics, people will trust and truly follow that person. Now, in the case of Rasulullah SAW, we can recollect the incident on Mount Safa, which is near the Kaaba in Mecca, an event that occurred, okay, that will ascertain or show the truthfulness that make the people trust Rasulullah and willing to follow him. As narrated by Ibn Abbas radiallahu anh, when the verse "and warn your tribe of near gathered," when Allah ordered the Prophet to make da'wah, Rasulullah ascended Mount Safa and he started calling the tribes of Quraysh, Banu Fil, Adi, and the rest, come, and all the tribes responded. Those who cannot come, they send their representative, and among those who come was Abu Lahab. And of course, the Prophet ﷺ, he was smart. Okay? He doesn't straight away say the message. He started by saying, if I inform you that behind me, behind Mount Safa valley, that there is an army coming to attack you, would you believe me? Okay, and of course the leaders of the Quraysh and the representatives said, yes, we believe you because you have never tell us any lie. You have always been truthful. But the moment Rasulullah made the da'wah and say La ilaha illallah and warn the Quraysh of impending punishment from Allah if they disobey, and we know the response. And Abu Lahab said, may your hand perish. May that Allah said to her, may your hands perish all this day. And we know what happened. Allah SWT revealed the surah Tabbat Yada Abi Lahab wa Tab till the end. And this is very significant. In other words, I think the Quraysh know that this is true, but due to their arrogance, they are not willing to accept the message of Prophet ﷺ that was revealed to him. So this is a very important incident that happened that ascertained the truthfulness of Rasulullah. Now the other incident that we are familiar with, okay, taught in our early days especially, is happened just before the hijrah of Rasulullah SAW to Medina. Okay, and this um, event showed the trustworthiness. Okay, and actually what happened was Rasulullah SAW asked Ali, Sayyidina Ali ibn Abi Talib radiallahu anh, to sleep on his bed and stayed in Mecca while Rasulullah went for the hijrah. Now most of us were taught, including myself, we were taught that this is a ploy for a deception, so that Rasulullah can leave. Of course, yes, that's one of the reasons. But there is another reason that rarely we mention. Actually, one of the reasons, most important reason for this was that when the Quraysh come, Ali ibn Talib was supposed to give back all the wealth, all the gold, or whatever goods that was entrusted to Rasulullah, so that they can be given back to the owners. Okay, because Rasulullah was not in the position to do that. So this showed that, you know, Rasulullah is someone who is really trustworthy. Okay? Al-Amanah. Okay, so can you imagine your enemy who wants to kill you? Okay, and yet when it comes to asking or finding someone to take care of their things, you still give to that person. Say if I'm your enemy, na'udzubillah, you know, and then I have a goal, let's say, and I want to keep it in safekeeping, you know, I look around and I still think that even though you are my enemy, but you are trustworthy. And that's the position of Rasulullah. So all the people of Makkah, even his enemies, trusted him so much, even though they don't like him or whatever, but they still leave their things with him. Now this shows the level of trustworthiness of Rasulullah SAW that's gotten from the people around him. Okay, so we can say confidently now that trustworthiness, truthfulness, these are the moral foundation of leadership. So if someone doesn't have these two qualities, in other words, the leadership is has a defect. And interestingly enough, if you look at many of the writings of Western scholars, most of them dwell on these two qualities. And you know that our Prophet, Rasulullah, you know, he is the leader of all the messengers of Allah SWT. So he was the pristine example of these two qualities. And also in Rasulullah, I would like to highlight another exemplary character, is that he is a prophet of mercy. وَمَا أَرْسَلْنَاكَ إِلَّا رَحْمَةً لِلْعَالَمِينَ. And many people just say this, okay, but if you study the seerah of Rasulullah SAW, you will find many evidence to highlight the mercy, the Rasulullah SAW mercifulness in how he carried out his message. And I just want to give the example of the battles of the Prophet SAW. If you read about the battles of the Prophet SAW, right, you will find that he has about nearly 10 ghazwa altogether. And the number of people killed, total, the Muslim and the non-Muslim, comes to only about 1,340. There are some slight differences in the numbers depending who you are referring, but I'm referring to Ibn Hisham, only 1,340. Even if you talk about the Battle of Badr, it's about 20 something. Now, that is something that is a statistic that is for many difficult to comprehend. how in war, many wars, and some big wars, okay, I think the largest casualty was about 850 died on both sides, okay, in one battle. That was the largest. So total 1,340. And if you read about how he conduct the war, most generals who conduct the war, they want to impact the greatest damage, the greatest number of people killed. But Rasulullah SAW, he prepared, he did intelligence. You know, Rasulullah SAW intelligence, if you read about how Rasulullah conducted intelligence, perisikan, wonderful. You know, even just to highlight one, even the faces of the camel is a source of intelligence. You know? So when he sent the two spies, you know, to find out what happened to the Kabilah of Abu Sufyan, you know, they check the faces. You know? So they want to know whether the Kabilah has passed or not. So the people said, well, there was, but they are not sure. So they checked the faces. And when they checked the faces, they found two pieces of dead seed. And from the dead seed, they knew this dead come from where. And then ascertained this Kabilah is from where. Whether it's Abu Sufyan's Kabilah or some another group. You know? And there are many. You know, about the water, how many sheep, how many camel was slaughtered. So he knew everything about the enemy side. And he planned the battle in such a way that the number of casualty for the Muslim is less. Not only for the Muslim, he also planned so that the number of casualties for the enemy also less. Now, how many generals do that? See, not many people highlight this issue, but that's also Salam conducted. And that's how later you see the generals of Islam after Rasulullah has left us, most of them were in this mode. Okay? And you'll be surprised. Okay? And so this is another important characteristic. So what about other than the Prophet? So we can say, oh, okay, Rasulullah is the Prophet. He's divinely guided. Okay. So of course, he had many advantages, some people may say. But we can refer to those who come after him. Okay. And I like to show one example. You know, there was once, I read this from a book, very interesting book, about this book entitled Exemplary Behaviors of Muslims. It's written by, it was published in Pakistan. So there was one day a merchant who came to a city, and if I'm not mistaken, the city is some in Iraq, border of Iraq and Madain, if I'm not mistaken. Is it Madain? Yeah. This merchant came to the city, and he come from saying he's never been there. So when he arrived as a merchant, first thing he do is he go to the marketplace. Okay? And at the marketplace, he has so many goods that he's going to trade. Okay, and so he looked around and he saw, look around store from trader store to another. He saw one person who is not dressed very well. Okay, and this person was going from one store to another store, and at every store he was like, he can see that this person was asking some questions to the trader who was running the store. Right. So he saw movement. So he said, oh, maybe this person can use this person, okay, for his business. So he called this person. He just called, I don't know, hey or something. And this person came, said, oh, okay, I want to hire you, okay, to carry my goods. I'm going to bring to a place. So I want you to carry for me. And this person agreed. Okay, so he carried. So everything, the trader did not carry anything, and this person carried all the things. And he walked and asked him to follow. So he is following behind. And as they were walking, the people, when he passed somebody, the person will say, Assalamualaikum, very respectful. So this merchant thought that people are making salutation to him. But after a few times, he realized that the people were not addressing him. The people was addressing the one who's carrying his goods. So he became anxious. How come people are like addressing him and very respectfully? So after he cannot stand anymore. He stopped and he turned and said, "Who are you? Who are you?" And this person said, "I am Salman Al-Farisi, and I am the governor of this region." Okay? Now imagine you are the trader. If that happened to you, he is the governor, and this person have asked him to be his kuli, if you like, and the person was very surprised and shocked. What? The governor, he has, asked the governor to carry everything, and he was like, didn't carry anything, and this person is carrying everything, and he's the governor. So he said, "Why are you doing this? You are the governor." He said, "Oh, it's okay, I can carry it, no problem." He said, "I will help you." He said, No, I will, no, he said, "I will carry for you because I am the governor. And as the governor, it is my duty to assist people who come to my wilayah. It's my duty to help visitors who come who are in need of assistance." Okay? Then why do you go from one stall to another stall? And Salman said, "Yes, I'm going from so because I'm checking. Okay, the market, I'm checking. You have any problems today? Is everything all right?" So this trader realized he has misunderstood. He thought that Salman was looking for a job. Now, let me ask you, how many leaders nowadays do that? How many? How many fathers every day ask their children, "How are you today?" Ask your wife, "How are you today, my love," or "my darling," or "young," or whatever. Is everything okay in the house? You as a leader. And this Salman Farisi is a companion of the Prophet. And this is the product from the madrasah of Rasulullah. A true leader. Let's go on. You may say, "Oh, his companion. We are, we don't have Rasulullah with us." So I'd like to take another example. And I think you know this example. Talut. Okay? I think Talut. If you know about Talut, I think you can refer to Surah Al-Baqarah, verse 150. Kalau misalkan dia Ustaz, ayat 150. Very interesting. And this was one of the few verses that inspired me during my early days when I started to attracted Islam. We don't have time to go into the detail, but basically, the Bani Israel was asking for a leader. Okay, asking for a leader. We need a leader to lead because Bani Israel was being oppressed. Okay, they were being threatened. Okay, and they were asking for a leader. And Allah SWT appointed Talut. So in some opinions say Talut was the first king of the Bani Israel. Now what happened? So the whole country of Bani Israel asked for a leader. Allah gave a leader, Talut. Okay, fine. And then after he was appointed as a leader, 100% Talut was what do you call? I'm not sure, carpenter or shoemaker. Okay, was a shoemaker maybe. So he became a leader, and of course, when Israel, some doesn't like. How come Talut? We have bangsawan, we have rich people, we have this. But a shoe cobbler, shoemaker become a leader. How come? So whatever, after he became the king, the leader, then they were threatened by Jalut. Okay, Jalut, I think, come from Mesopotamia, okay, from the Iraq area. And this Jalut and his people, according to some Mufassir, they were big people. Okay? They were like giant, strong, big people. And of course, very well trained army. Okay? And they were coming to attack the Bani Israel. Okay? And in some narration saying more than 100,000 army. Okay? So, when Talut knows this, he called the whole country. We need to form an army to fight, okay, to save Bani Israel. For the whole country. And out of the whole country, you know how many responded? Only 80,000. According to Lokasi, only about 80,000 responded. The whole country, only 80,000. And they were warned. If you want detail, please refer to the ayat I've given to you and look at the tafsir. And 80,000 responded, so Talut reminded them, it's going to be tough journey, and so forth. We have to march, and then we will reach a river, and do not drink from the river, except just maybe handful. Okay? Do not drink until you are full, just a little. Now, so they march, and they reach the river. What happened? They were thirsty, tired, and so on. Everybody went in and drank full to their full, except for about 4,000 people. Only about 4,000 remember the instruction and just take a small amount. And of course, 76,000 did not continue after that. So some people, Abu Alam Maududi, one of them, if you refer to his book, Tazkiratul Du'a, Abu Alam Maududi, Rahimahullah, said, we can use this as a formula. If you have a Jama'ah, if you have an organization, maybe you must have at least 5% who are the core member. Core member means the one who are willing to sacrifice, okay, for the sake of the mission. Okay. In other words, even if this person is called at 3 a.m., come, they will come. But the other 76,000, the other 95%, they can be members, but you cannot expect the same commitment as this 5%. So if you don't have this 5%, that means your Jama'ah is not so, okay, or your organization is not so. So, and of course we know what happened after that. This 4,000 faced Jalut and defeated Jalut, and we know Prophet David, Nabi Daud, salam, killed Jalut using the sling catapult, which what the Palestinians are using now, okay, for the Intifada. So that's one another example, okay, of leadership. So Talut is very clear what he wants to do, and he will do it no matter what happens. Even the whole country only 80,000, he continued. Even 76,000 give up, only 4,000, he continued. This is leader. How many are like this? Not many. Another one, okay, you took this companion. We want people who are not tabi'in, not companion. Okay, I like to give the example of Sultan Nasiruddin. How many of you have heard of Sultan Nasiruddin? Sultan Nasiruddin is one of the Sultan of from the Islamic empire in India. If you read, when I was in school, I like history very much. So when I read the history books, what the British wrote about the sultans of India were all bad. If you read all bad, if you read about Aurangzeb, they're all very bad. One of the, but actually it's not true. Okay, before the British conquered India, about estimated 25% of the whole world's wealth was in India. 25%. Can you imagine? 25% when the Muslims ruled India. What happened now? And that's why the British call India the jewel of the crown. Because of India, Britain became very, very rich. Whenever I go to the UK and see all the beautiful palaces and so on, always occurred to my mind, my God, maybe a lot of this money was from the colonies, from India, from Malaysia, from Nigeria, from everywhere, from Middle East. And so back to Sultan Nasiruddin. Who is this Sultan Nasiruddin? Okay, he was one of the Sultan, Muslim Sultan. One episode about him that I read, which really struck my heart, was that one day, somebody came at night. He invited someone to come to his palace. He met this person, became friends, okay, and he invited this person to come and stay at his home. It's like a palace, okay. And this person came to the palace. He was surprised. He thought that palace would be, like all palaces should be, but it was very simple. And they had dinner, and after dinner, they were talking about what the Sultan's hobby and things like that. So Dr. Sultan said, yeah, I make a living by writing verses of the Quran and sell like khat. So people buy. That's how I make my living. Wow, Sultan of India, very rich, and still make a living. Okay. In other words, he doesn't take the wealth from the country. That's for the Baitul Mal, for purposes of running the state. For his own living, for his personal living, he make the writings of the Quran and sell, and that is his income. So this person said, oh, I must see this, your writing. So Sultan Nasiruddin bring him to his workshop, if you like, and showed his writing. So the person was looking at the writing, okay, and then suddenly he said, I think there's a mistake. This ayah, there's a mistake. So Sultan Nasiruddin, took the manuscript and look and study, and I said, yes, there's a mistake. Thank you for showing me the mistake. Now Sultan Nasiruddin has a assistant, if you like, and his assistant was looking, and the assistant was, very upset, very upset, but but he couldn't do anything. Okay. So the Sultan, thank you very much. And then after that, of course, they left. And then when the person left, his assistant come to the Sultan and said, Your Excellency, he's not right. You are right. There's nothing wrong. Why didn't you tell him? You know that you are right. Why didn't you tell him that you are right? And he went, so why do you do that? Why you accept? So Sultan Nasruddin, what did he say? He said, yes, I know that I was right. He's wrong. And of course, very easy. Just take the mushaf, open, show, and you can decide already. But I don't want to do that. I don't want to do that. Because if I do that, then later he will never correct me again. I am the Sultan, and I want my subjects, my people, to give muhasabah to me openly, without anything. If I had done that, after that he will never make any more muhasabah or correction. Now, this is a leader. Accept whatever. Just like when Sayyidina Umar giving the khutbah and obey me, he said, okay, all people obey me, and one person stand up in the side and say, I will not obey. Because why? Umar he saw Umar with more cloth to make his dress. And what did Umar do? He didn't do ISA, he didn't do things like that or whatever. But his son stand up and say, actually I give my portion to Omar, because if Omar get that, it's not enough to make anything. Because Omar is big, So I give my portion to that. My father can have a dress. Okay, then let's not go too far. So that's Sultan Nasruddin. And another one. Okay, I have my own experience, my personal experience. When I was studying in Leeds, okay, this was in the 70s. Okay, at that time I was new to Islam, you can say. So there, I was initially involved with when I started to be, how shall I say, attracted to Islam. I started to be involved in the Islamic Society of Leeds University, and I was a committee member, and I was given the job of preparing Islamic exhibition. Very big event. Okay. So one of the important things about surgery is I have to get the materials, and the material means books, posters, Quran, and things like that. And normally we get it from our mother umbrella organization called FOSIS. FOSIS stands for Federation of Student Islamic Societies in the UK and Ireland. So I contacted FOSIS in London and said, I need this. So the person answered, said, okay, we will send you this. Then the FOSIS van arrived. So I went and took it, and turns out the president of FOSIS came. So I was like, wow, the president came, Because I said, why you? He said, no, there's no one else available, so I'm the only one available. So he drove from London to Leeds to give everything, and then after that he's going to drive back to London. I said, wow, President of FOSIS came, and Leeds to London is very far. Okay, it's about nearly 300 miles. So it's very far, it's not near. It's like KL to Alostar or something, yeah? Very far. And he came just for that. So okay, so after this he parked the car and then okay. And then, after he's done, so he said, okay, I'm leaving. I said, okay, thank you, Jazakallah khairan. So he left. So I was still in the mosque, preparing the things and so on. And then when I finished, about maybe afternoon about 4:30. So I closed and I want to go back to my flat. And as I walked, I passed and I saw the FOSIS van is still there. I said, oh, brother president is still here. So as I walked past towards my flat, then I saw him also sitting, there's a place and he was sitting on the fence doing, waiting. So I said, brother, what are you waiting for? And he said, oh, I'm sorry. I said, brother, it's okay, you can go, no problem. I'm just waiting here for someone. I said, really, what are you waiting for? I thought he's waiting for another brother or something. So then when I insist, then he said, no, actually when he was trying to move the van, okay, he accidentally knocked a car in front. And there was a slight scratch. So he said, I cannot go until I wait for the owner of this car to come so that I can offer compensation. So he has waited maybe, I don't know, when I met him, it was probably before Zoho. So he has been waiting there maybe, I don't know, 2-3 hours. Okay? And I said, what? It's just a small scratch, You could just leave a note or something. No, I can't. Because those days we don't have handphone, you can't do that, okay? So we waited there until 5 o'clock. The person finished work, came, and I saw him, came and said, oh, I'm sorry, when I was trying to reverse, I knocked your car. And I said, so please, what compensation? And this person said, oh, it's just a small scratch, no problem. So that really affected me, This is a person who is the president of forces, meaning he is the leader for all the Islamic societies. And look at his akhlaq. These are the kind of leaders that we want. So there you are. There are many, many examples, of different types of leaders. Now I want to show you, if you are a leader and you want to bring society, you want to bring people to change. Okay. So I took this diagram. There are many, many theories about leaders and so all the methods and so on. But I'm much more attracted to this particular one because to me this shows, what are the things that you should look for and what are the defects in leadership. Okay. So if you look from here, you can see that if you want to manage complex change, I don't want to go into the science of it, just go straight to the point. You need all those elements in order to be able to successfully make a change or lead people, bring people or bring organization or bring a country to make the change. Okay? What are they? You need vision. You need skills, you need incentives, you need resources, and you must have an action plan. Okay, I'm sure if you are students of management, I'm sure you may have come across this. Then only you can have change. Alright? Now, if you have all but you don't have vision, you are very skilled, you can give incentive, you have all the resources and you have a plan, but you don't have a vision. You don't know where you are going. You don't know what's the end. Okay, you do not have a vision. Right? Then what will happen? You probably will have confusion. The society, the people do not know, where are we heading? They are not clear. What's the end result? Okay, you're going to have confusion. Now, if you have everything else, but you don't have the skill as a leader. We see just now the skills, the leaders, Salman Al-Farisi, Sultan, we see all the skills, okay? But you don't have the skill. You have vision, you're clear. I know my vision, okay? You have incentive resources, you have a plan, but you do not have the skill to run, to lead, and so on. Then what's going to happen? You probably will have anxiety. The people will be, betul ke ni? No, this person is going to lead us. Is it going to be, this can be a person, can be a group of person. Leadership can be a person, can be a group of person. So Are we serious? No skill. And of course, the same thing, but we don't have incentive. People need incentive. Whatever we do, if you even manage your family, you need incentive. For your children, for your wife also need incentive. You want to bring up children. The children need incentive. That is the nature of human. They need incentive. Incentive can be anything. Okay, can be monetary, can be material, can be reward, can be appreciation, can be Jannah. Okay, so you must have incentive, otherwise you're going to have resistance. There will be resistance after some time. And of course, you have all that, you don't have resources, there's going to be frustration. Want to do this? Oh, not enough this. Want to do this? Oh, not enough this. And want to do this? Oh, only supposed to be 10 people come to do the work, only 2 come. What are you going to have? Frustration. Okay? And of course, if you have all that, but you don't have a plan. In, the famous Murphy's Law. If you don't have a plan, you plan to fail. This is Murphy's Law. Well known. Okay? I teach disaster management. That's one of the laws that I always use. If you have a disaster and you don't have a plan to manage disaster, then you plan to fail. You will not be able to manage the disaster. So what's going to happen? You don't have a plan, you have a false start. You start, but it's not going to lead you anywhere. So this is very critical. So from the Islamic viewpoint, we can say vision. What's our vision? Establishing Islam. Mardatillah. That's our vision. We want everybody so that we establish Islam in ourselves and for the community. If you have a family, you want to establish Islam for your family, for yourself, and for members of your family, and of course, mardatil. You must have that. Okay? Without that, then you don't have a vision. If we talk about skill, what kind of skill that is important? Okay? When I talk about skill, I talk about normally 4 C's. What are the 4 C's? Command, control, coordination, communication. This is very critical for any leader. The leader or the leadership must have command, control, coordination, communication. Okay? And of course, when you talk about command, control, coordination, I think everybody is clear. So I'm not going to dwell into those things. Communication. Communication is not just being able to call or whatever. Communication is also shura. Okay? وَأَمْرٌ شُورًا بَيْنَهُمْ. You must make shura. That's one of the communication. A leader communicate with the leadership, with the members of the organization. And in the UK, we used to call extensive shura, permeative shura. This shura must be there. Otherwise, you do not have communication. We do not want autocratic, dictatorial, or a leader that's so dominant that people are not clear. So it's not the vision, the plan is not being shared by the people. When I prepare an emergency response plan for any community, yes, before I go to the community, I already studied and I already know what the emergency response plan should be. But I never go to the community and say, guys, this is the emergency response. I never do that. But I always prepare the community, guide them finally they come up with the emergency response plan that is for them, which turns out to be later as what I prepared. But why I do that? I could come and say, okay, this is now your mission, you follow this, you will be safe. If the tsunami come, or if the flood come, and so, or if there is an explosion. Okay, but I don't do that. I want them together develop it. I will guide them, and you, of course, finally it will come to be just like what I actually know is what it should be. Okay, but why I do that? Because I want them to feel that they have developed this plan. And when they develop the plan, they will feel that they own the plan. It's not a plan that I push to them. They will feel that this is our plan to save our village, to save our company, to save. This is important. Okay? So, and of course, when you talk about the skill, sharing leadership, very important. Okay? You must share the leadership, because now our Rasulullah SAW is the last of the Prophet. No more after that. And of course, we have the Khulafa-ur-Rashidun, and after that, no more. Some people say we have 4, some people say we have 5, because Umar Abdul Aziz is one considered. Some ulama say he's also rightly guided Caliph. But after that, we do not have any one single individual who command all the qualities that is required of an Islamic leader. So we may have a sharing leadership. So I don't believe that any one person should be the leader for all times. Okay. Whenever there is, depending on the phases of the work that need to be done, perhaps different leader, different person should be a leader. Okay. Maybe the formative stage, you need someone who has skill to build an organization. And then when you start to do another task, okay, then you need another person. So there are different phases, and you may need different kind of person with different qualities to lead the organization. When we talk about incentive from the Islamic viewpoint, yes, we have very big incentive, and this incentive must be made clear. Jannah, Jannah to Firdaus, Shaheed. This must be made clear at every time. What is the incentive for you to sacrifice for the sake of Allah and His Rasul? This has to be clear. Sometimes this is not clear. You know, this has to be really put inside. Of course, another one is Iman and brotherhood. When you are in a strong organization, your Iman is better, because you have brothers or sisters who will assist you. Because remember, Iman yazidu wa yanqus. At times you need support. When you are down, you need support. And of course, brotherhood. I don't know, during my time, there were times when I felt very strong brotherhood with some of my friends, and at times I felt down. So I guess brotherhood also up and down related to your Iman. Okay? And I think one important quality, if you are in the military, because I working in the military, what we call esprit de corps. Esprit de corps, if I can translate, is like in Malay is kebersamaan. Kebersamaan, or the feeling that you belong to a organization must be strong. Your feeling of affiliation, kebersamaan, must be strong. We call it esprit de corps. And if you have an esprit de corps, then the organization, the unit is stronger, solid. It's on solid foundation. Resources, if you're talking about resources from the for Muslim, of course the individuals, the groups that constitute the organization, the members, you know, they put Islam and Da'wah first. They must put Islam and Da'wah first. I don't know when in the early days. Remember I told you about the president of forces. To me, he put Islam and Dawah first. He knew that the Islamic exhibition very important because once a year we do exhibition to try and get people to know about Islam and even try to get people to be Muslim. So he knew that's important and he is the president. He could order someone to do it, but he himself wanted to do it. And you're willing to sacrifice. Okay? Financially, you're willing to sacrifice. If you have members who are willing to sacrifice, okay, only drink a little water, don't drink all that you can, sacrifice. I'm willing to eat rice once a day, not twice a day, so that I can contribute the other 4 dawah. That's important. And that's how, I don't know, in any organization, you must have this kind of members. Sometimes you are given an order, okay, you need to go to a place and conduct da'wah or something. But the organization did not give you any money or anything. That means what? That means you use your own money. You may have limited money, but the order is an order you will sacrifice. And you may have to tell your wife, okay, I have this order to go to X place so that I need to carry out a task and I need to take away some of the money, budget for our household so that I can perform this task. So if your wife understands, if your family understands, they will not complain. Okay? They are willing to forego, okay, for the purpose, for sacrifice, for the sake of Islam and Dawah. And of course, when we talk about action plan, we talk about the strategies, harnessing all the strengths, okay, harvesting whatever we have, resources among us. Sometimes we pool our money. Some member can give £5, another member can give only £1, another member, okay, I can give to pool whatever we have to make our plan work. And we need to integrate, manage, operationalize. This plan should operationalize the vision. Because vision is just a vision, but you must operationalize it. Okay? What are the strategic objectives? What are the strategic objectives? All these are just strategic objectives, but you must have operational plan to put it into action. You have a vision to establish Islam, to achieve Mardatillah in the process. Okay? But you don't have a plan. So in the end, you do this, you do that, you feel happy, oh, I've done this. But is it moving towards achieving the vision, what you have done? So you must have strategy, you must integrate, you must manage, and you must operationalize it. Okay, putting goals, milestones, and so on and so forth. Okay. So, in my opinion, this is just my opinion. Whenever somebody assumes leadership, somebody or group of people assume leadership, the person or persons who becomes the leadership or qiyada, they must be given a time to formulate what I call strategic objectives and operational plan. This is very important. Say, today, I am elected to be the leader. Okay? I assume leadership. I must look, review, take stock what has happened in the past, consider whatever resources, skills. I have members who have different skills. I have to look into all this, okay, and formulate a strategic what are the strategic objectives. Say if I'm appointed for a certain period, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years or whatever, come up with a strategic objective, and then how am I going to achieve that strategic objective? The operationalization of the plan. Okay? For the period of appointment. Right? Then this SOOP, okay, SOOP, nowadays some people use STOP, okay, STOP, strategic, tactical, operational plan. Okay, so you have 3: strategic, tactical, operational. But let's not go into that. Let's say SOOP must be presented to the organization, to members, and subjected to cross-examination. Why do you put this plan? Why do you put this objective higher than this objective? And so on. You want to achieve this. Do we have the resources? So you must be able to justify as the leader. Okay. Remember just now we said you must feel that your togetherness, shura, all that. Okay. So once that has been accepted, okay, at the end of that term, the SOOP will be reviewed and evaluated. How much has been achieved? If you put, okay, I have said 1, 2, 3, how have you achieved? Oh, only 2 achieved. Third one couldn't achieve. Why? Maybe not enough time, didn't have the resources, and so forth. So it has to be evaluated at the end of each term by an autonomous body. Maybe a group of people who are not in the leadership who will evaluate. So if you have 3 years, 4 years, you evaluate. And that should be the basis, okay, and the analysis and findings from this group should be the basis for the next leadership. So if the person or the leadership manage to achieve, perform well, maybe they will be re-elected. But if they have not, then maybe we need to find another set of people to be the leadership. Then only appointment of leadership is objective. The problem is that in an organization, sometimes, remember we say, earlier on, remember, okay, sometimes you appoint people because he's rich, or because his size is big, or because he can talk very well. You understand what I mean? So people only know him or her, and they, come to the mind, that's because if this person is high profile, always appear in the TV, No, it cannot be like that. We have to be objective whenever we want to appoint a person, whatever task. If you want to build a school, you must appoint the right person to build the school. And he's given a time. So after 2-3 years, you evaluate. Has it achieved? Where have you gone? Too many failures. You need to change. You cannot continue appointing the same person. So, this is my opinion. Okay? And of course, my opinion can be wrong. Okay? My experience is limited, very limited. So, take it with a pinch of salt. And I want to give an example of a good leader. You know Dr. Abdul Kalam. Have you heard of the name Dr. Abdul Kalam? He was the president of India, the first Muslim president of India. Can you imagine? India appoint a Muslim to be a president. Who is this Dr. Abdul Kalam? He was the head of ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization. He was the head for a long time. Now what happened, I read about his experience. Very interesting, something that we can learn. Dr. Kalam wrote from his experience. He said when he was appointed the ISRO, Indian Space Research Organization, he was given a task. And the task was, India must send a rocket to space. At that time, India doesn't have. And this was in around 1970s. I think around 1973, if I'm not mistaken. So, and he started to work. He's given the time. Okay, I think the time that the India put on him, by 1980, India must send a rocket to space, successful. So he worked hard and so. And then when the time for the launch, so normally before launch, the computer will check all systems. Okay, so the computer was checking few hours before the launch. Then the computer indicates something not right. So, but of course, you have to decide. Do you want to go ahead or not? So he decided to go ahead because the not so right, not so big issue. So he proceeded with the launch. And sure enough, the rocket went up and then failed and dropped into the Bay of Bengal. So failed. As the head of the ISRO, he failed. So he reported to his boss. His boss is a Professor Dilwan, if I'm not mistaken, Professor Dilwan. So he informed him, sorry, failed. So he had to report straight away. So Professor Dilwan said, okay, never mind. So Dr. Abdul called for press conference to inform India that failed. Okay. Professor Dilwan said, no, I will do the press conference, not Dr. Abdul Kalam. So Professor Dilwan informed failure and he said, well, the team worked hard but failed, I take the responsibility. So he did not say Dr. Abdul Kalam is the failure. Okay. After that, Dr. Abdul Kalam was continued. Go ahead to launch, try and launch again. And the second time launch, successful. Okay. So again, call for press conference after the launch, successful launch. And Professor Dilwan said what? Dr. Abdul Kalam, you take the press conference. Okay. Successful, you take. Not successful, I take. For his person higher. So Dr. Abdul Kalam said, I learned a very important thing from that incident. He said, leadership, when there is failure, the leadership must take the blame. Okay? If you are given a task, you are the leader, and you fail, you must take the blame. Don't put it on the other members. When there is success, the leadership don't take the glamour. Give it to the people who do the job, the members. Isn't that wonderful? Okay. So, just to share with you that example. So now come to the challenges. What's the challenge for us? So I think all of us Muslims, every one of us, every child, youth, adult, father, mother, managers, whatever, professors or what, your responsibility, your life. What are you going to do with your life? Are you clear with your life? With respect to Islam. This has to be clear. What is your goal in life, in this world? Your goal for the hereafter. Are you clear? Do you have a vision? Or your vision is only get the diploma? Or your vision is only to become a Ustad? Or your vision is only to be earning, get a good job? What is your vision? Your goal in this world and hereafter. It's you must be very clear on it. But what we see, there is I coined this term, conflict of Shakhsiyah. Why conflict of Shakhsiyah? Muslim, what's Muslim supposed to be? Supposed to have good character. But you see the Muslims nowadays, do they have good character? Are the Muslims the one who kill when you need to kill? Or you're also rushing to get into the bus, you want to be first. Do you help the people who are in need of assistance? Old people and so on and so forth. You offer your assistance? Is a Muslim community the cleanest? I feel very sad when I see, a house. Sometimes when I go, I see how, then I say, it's a Muslim house. But the presentation of the house does not reflect a Muslim's house. It's dirty. The plants are all over the place. The grass is not cut. Doesn't portray. This is what I mean, conflict of Sharia. If you go to Japan, you feel that Japan is more Islamic than Malaysia. Everywhere is clean. People are very disciplined. If I go to a shop, very respectful. Greet you, when I buy something, sometimes I buy. My problem in buying always size. No size. I cannot find my size in Malaysia. So all my clothes are either made or buy from overseas, not from Malaysia. That's my problem. Okay, Malaysian size, I'm supposed, I'm off the range. So when I go to Japan, sometimes I want to buy. So the shop assistant will help me, and never surely always smiling. And after half an hour, couldn't find my size. What does the shop assistant do? He or she will bow, say thank you, and then apologize. We are very sorry, Our store, Marubeni or whatever, cannot satisfy your need. You go to a store in Malaysia, how? So I call this conflict of Sharia. You are a Muslim, but your Sharia does not portray. You go to toilets. You go to toilet in Japan, when you look at it, you feel like you can lick the toilet. It's so clean. Even though public toilet. Toilets in Malaysia have improved, alhamdulillah, but still can improve further. You go to Muslim country, toilets, I don't want to mention the country. Sometimes you go in, you go up again. you aborted your mission, so to speak. This is what I mean by conflict of Sharia. So how are we going to perform this leadership? Even at that level, we fail. Okay? And that brings me to restoring Islam's leadership in all fields. Our civilization, Islamic civilization, was at the forefront, and we lost it. We lost to the Western civilization. So it should be that the Muslims should be among the best. Okay? But we find that sometimes Muslims are behind. Never mind behind in terms of result or achievement, but Muslim shouldn't be behind in terms of akhlaq, in terms of character, in terms of iltizam, istiqamah. Okay, did not get A, but I as a lecturer, I've been a lecturer for almost 40 years now. Sometimes I find the Muslim students lack iltizam, lack enthusiasm, lack commitment, and of course they will do well. But if they are okay, but the result, that's okay, that's fine. Okay, they have tried their best. But even then, there is a problem. So, how to restore Islam's leadership in all fields? Okay, and that brings to our Islamic character. Our Islamic character, how good are we? We are only good when we are facing people, or are we good all the time? Are we professional, ethically okay, or not? When you are alone, how will you behave? I bring this another example, Tawus al-Yamani. I don't know whether you've heard of him. Tawus al-Yamani is one of the scholar, and he is one of the characteristics of one of the qualities that Tawus has. He's a very handsome person. Tawus al-Yamani, so from Yemen. He's a very handsome person. So one day he came to Makkah, and then he made the tawaf at Makkah. While he's making tawaf, he realized that there's a woman following him, going around the tawaf. And this woman, you know, because Tawaf is so handsome, so this woman wanted to, wants Tawaf, so to speak. So Tawaf was trying to avoid, and then finally he went to one quiet place. This woman followed, and then he turned right and tell the woman, "Okay." He said, "Let's do it." No, he went to another part of the in the masjid, Masjidil Haram. So he said, "Okay, let's do it." He said, and the woman surprised because there are people. He said, "Here, this place, we need to find a very quiet place." And Tawus, what did Tawus say? "Where is Allah? Where is Allah?" asked the woman. And the woman, very shocked. So you're trying to find a quiet place, but where is Allah? Allah is all around, so you will not find a quiet place. This is the character that Muslims should have. Okay. So, and final one is every Muslim must safeguard the integrity of Islam. So, what do you mean by that? In other words, our Rasulullah said, every one of you, must take care of your everyone must take care of their responsibility, so to speak, or their what has been given responsibility to them. So if you are a teacher, you must be a good teacher, and you must carry out your job well. If you are an engineer, you must do things well. Okay? So this is very important. So if you are a father, you must be a good father. If you are a mother, you must be a good mother from the Islamic point of view. And I remember one incident, I can't remember which Sharia. There was one Sharia that Rasulullah established, I lost the name of the Sharia. So and this Sharia went on a mission, and then when nightfall they rested, and one of them was asked to do the hirasa, to be the guard for the night while others rest, while others sleep. So during the night, he started making prayer. So he was making prayer, and there an enemy came to observe the hirasa, and he saw. I also lost the name of the Sahabi. So he saw the person stand making salah, So he took out his arrow and shoot the arrow and hit the Sahabi. But the person did not stop. So he took out another arrow and hit again. Hit again. Again does not stop. Continue prayer. So, took another one. Hit again. And then only the person stopped. And then he wake up the rest of the members of the Sharia and informed them there's an enemy. And so the companions were shocked to see he already have 3 hits on the arrow and breathing. So why don't you tell us? And he responded, he said, "Oh, I was enjoying the salah." And he was reading Surah Ar-Rahman. So he was enjoying, he said he enjoyed too much, so he continued. But after the 3rd arrow, he stopped because he said, "If I don't stop, I may die, and then all of you will be killed." So, And when Rasulullah was informed, Rasulullah told that every one of you have to take care of the responsibility that you have. So this Sahabi, because of his responsibility, he could go on and probably willing to die, because he was so enjoying the Salah, but he stopped because he must make sure that the safety of the Salah. So, every Muslim must safeguard wherever you are put responsibility, you must make sure. And perhaps finally, Allah SWT says, Kuntum khayra ummah ukhrijat linnas ta'muruna bil ma'ruf wa tanhauna 'anil munkar wa tu'minuna billah. So you are the best ummah. And to be the best ummah, there are 3 criteria that you must have. What is it? First, to prevent munkar. So if you encourage goodness, you believe in Allah, but you do not try to prevent munkar, you are not the best ummah. So you must prevent munkar, you must encourage khair, good things, and you must believe in Allah. So if someone prevent munkar, okay, encourage goodness, but does not believe in Allah, and also doesn't qualify to be khair ummah, the best. So remember that, kuntum khair ummah. Okay, this is a real motivation for us. And finally, we must make shukr. Okay, we must thank to Allah SWT. Because if you do not make shukr, you are kufur. And Allah SWT says in the Quran, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ إِبَادِيَ الشُّكُرُ. Very few, very little of you make shukr. And there is an incident about this ayah. One time, Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, he was making tawaf. And then he saw, when he made the tawaf, and then whenever he arrived, I think around the area of Multazam, he heard one person making this dua. He made dua and he said, "Oh Allah, make me one of the few. Oh Allah," and keep saying, "Make me one of the few." And he turned another round, and he come back, still making me one of the few. So Omar couldn't stand it anymore. So the next round he stopped and said, "Why you keep saying, make me one of the few? What is this few that you're talking about?" Then the person, a Bedouin, look at Omar and say, "Omar, he was Amirul Mu'minin." He said, "Amirul Mu'minin, I'm sure you know. You are Amirul Mu'minin. I'm just an ordinary person." He said, No, I don't know. You must remind me." So the Bedouin said, "Well, we are supposed to be." And then he said that one of you from this ayah. Okay, وَقَلِيلٌ مِّنْ إِبَادِيَ الشَّكُورِ. Very few. So he want to be one of the few who make shukr. There's so many, but people don't make shukr. Forget to make shukr. So make shukr. Allah gave us so much, and we forget. So this is very important. And of course, we know Sallallahu also said, why shouldn't I be a slave of Allah who makes shukr? When Aisha asked Rasulullah, "Why you are making so much prayer until you are swollen and bleeding?" I knew this could happen. So make shukr. That's very, very important. So I think I will stop here. Wabillahi taufiq wal hidayah. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh.